The students of the Seventh Seal, better known as the Branch Davidians, began as a sect of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in 1942. Their founder, Victor Houteff, founded the Mount Carmel Center near Waco, Texas, with 11 followers. Seventh-day Adventists hold a strong belief in the imminent return of Jesus Christ to earth. The student of the Seventh Seal, however, believed that they and their leader would be directly involved in the coming of Christ and the Armageddon as described by the Book of Revelations. Several of their leaders had incorrectly predicted this event. In 1981, a Texas musician named Vernon Howell joined the group as a handyman. Described as a bad influence, he had been previously kicked out of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. After joining the Branch Davidians, he married Rachel Jones, the 14-year-old daughter of a prominent member of the community.
We were a very reserved, very conservative group. There were no emotional displays.
Girls had to wear long tops and have blouses down to here.
Then along came Vernon Howell. I remember my father said one day, "Well, that guy sounds like he's going to end up saying he's a prophet the way he's acting."
In 1987, after a violent power struggle between himself and George Roden, the leader at the time, Howell and his followers took over control. In 1990, Howell changed his name to David Koresh, after King David of the Israelites and the Babylonian King Cyrus. A number of businesses were created within the compound. Guns were purchased wholesale and legally resold at gun shows. Bonds became disturbed by Koresh's violent discipline being given to child and adult members of the cult by Koresh's heavily armed and fiercely loyal mighty men.
There was talk at one point that of going into town, him and his, what he called his mighty men, going into town and going to a McDonald's and shooting it up. That way law enforcement would be forced to respond to the compound. And, then he can have his apocalypse.
He had this ability to appeal to people's base emotions and deepest feelings, and that's what Vernon did for me initially. He controlled you through fear, hope, love, want, and desire.
The Branch Davidians were placed on the radar of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, or also known as the ATF, after an extensive investigation into weapons hoarding. The members of the Davidians felt that there was trouble brewing between their stand of independence and the government's desire for oversight.
It's not against law to buy a firearm. It's not against law to buy anything that they sell at a gun show.
Especially after the incident at Ruby Ridge in 1992, where the ATF, in a 9-day standoff, raided a white separatist group for the illegal sale of sawed-off shotguns. 2 days after Islamic terrorists detonated a truck bomb below the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City, the ATF began their stand against the Davidians by infiltrating with undercover agent Robert Rodriguez. The sect was getting suspicious when an expose was printed called The Sinful Messiah, which ran for a week in the local Waco Tribune-Herald. Besides allegations of illegal weapons hoarding, Koresh was described as a pedophile who victimized the women and children living in the compound, and who believed that he had the right from God to do whatever he wanted with whomever he wanted.
The search warrant was for illegal weapons, illegal explosive devices, but we also knew and were being told of the abuses that were happening to the kids there.
The ATF, knowing that their legal search and arrest warrants were about to expire, decided to act quickly. The orders came through to execute a raid on the Mount Carmel compound and catch the unsuspecting Branch Davidians by surprise.
In part, we felt it was kind of a humanitarian mission that we had to go rescue those kids.
But when the ATF trucks arrived, the cultists were ready. They had been tipped off to the ATF's plans. As the groups exchanged heavy fire, a Davidian called 911 from inside the compound.
Lynch, may I help you?
Yeah, there's 75 men around our building and they're shooting at us in Mount Carmel.
Mount Carmel?
Yeah, tell them there are children and women in here and to call it off.
Right.
The initial firefight had taken the lives of 6 cultists and 4 agents by the time the ATF was ordered to fall back.
Third and final ceasefire, we were like, yeah, right. This isn't gonna happen. And then we were told, okay, leave.
Upon the ATF's failure to raid the compound, the Federal Bureau of Investigation began a siege of the compound. attempting to force the Branch Davidians out. They held out for 51 days as the FBI tried to negotiate a surrender with Koresh. On the 51st day, the FBI decided that time had run out. The FBI used tanks to punch into the compound and deliver the gas. Then, just after noon on April 19th, the siege came to an abrupt, fiery end.
6 hours into the operation, flames could be seen pouring out of a second-story window, and a person appeared on the roof to the left of the flames. The FBI said its agents saw 2 men start the fires. Moments later, another fire broke out on the other side of the compound. The flames were whipped by winds of 20 to 30 miles an hour. The building went up like kindling.
Even at 2.5 miles away, you could see the flames and the smoke and the fire trucks running through our checkpoint and that kind of stuff.
Officially, 76 Davidians perished on that day, many choosing to end their own lives rather than being trapped in the burning, collapsing compound. There's no definitive source of the blaze. The FBI maintains that they couldn't possibly have inadvertently started the fire, and even Branch Davidians who had made it out have given conflicting reports. The controversy and uncertainty surrounding the tragedy at Waco called into question the actions of the government and the roles of individual rights and the Second and Fourth Amendments in modern society. Many critics began to use the siege at Waco to highlight the overstepping of boundaries and the abuse of power by the Clinton administration and Attorney General Janet Reno.
Everyone involved in the events of April the 19th made their best judgments based on all the information we had. This was the hardest decision I have ever had to make.
The government maintains that the Davidians and Koresh were illegally hoarding dangerous weapons and acting as an independent nation within our borders. The feds believed that they had every right to take the stand and contend that it was the Davidians' apocalyptic attitudes and the sheer instability of Koresh that worsened the situation.
I'll meet you at the doorstep any day, and somebody will get hurt. If you want to keep playing that game, I'm talking to you. Somebody's going to get hurt. Because this ain't America anymore when the ATF has that kind of power to come into anybody's home and kick doors down and things like that.
The events at Waco continue to shape national debate on subjects ranging from religious liberty and individual rights to policies on terrorism. The deaths of the 82 Branch Davidians produced anti-government backlash, and the tragedy became a key organizing force of far-right movements, including the bombing in Oklahoma City.
So, in his own way, David Koresh was a terrorist. Part of the reason Timothy McVeigh said he blew up the Oklahoma City Federal Building is because of Waco. I mean, would you say that Timothy McVeigh can be classified as a terrorist? I'd say yes.
Events at Mount Carmel reshaped ideas about terrorism and brought it home. The resulting focus on homegrown terrorists, in turn, shifted focus away from the rising threat posed by Al-Qaeda. The measures taken that day by the ATF and FBI have since affected the long-term handling of domestic and even foreign terrorism.
There was no such thing as an operational plan back then, but today, almost every agency, before they do any arrest warrant or search warrant or undercover operation, does an operation plan.
As for the Davidians, their members disappeared. With their leader dead, many of the people went off on their own. Most of the children were sent to different families that had no connections to the Davidians in order to live a brand new life. The sentiments of the surviving members remain that they took a stand for God and that followers of God will have remained steadfast because they will face the persecution in their efforts.
Some of us still stick to what we believe. It was important back when we accepted it in the beginning. We're looking forward to a resurrection.
And this is what David did, try to help us in so many ways.
Even as the people of Waco distance themselves from the incident, and the last of Koresh's disciples disappear, the echoes of the Waco standoff are still felt to this day.